Hey boys and girls, how you doing? This is the Serviceman with the Service Station Prevents. I always do that. I always do the Serviceman Prevents. I'm preventing bad service. The Serviceman presents the Serviceman Interviews, SOBs. And today our SOB is the cleaning lady.
Julie the cleaning lady.
Julie the cleaning lady. Do you know what an SOB is?
I do, but that's because I've seen you before.
All right, for those of you that haven't seen this before, shame on you. The SOBs are service-obsessed business owners. And everyone that knows me knows that if nothing else, I am obsessed.
Obsessive.
Or possessed, or whatever you want to say. And Julie apparently is obsessed too, because she came highly recommended for one of my interviews. And if you'd like to get your company interviewed as well, just hit us up on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, MySpace,
Pinterest.
Is MySpace still around?
I think so.
Pinterest.
Limited use.
Julie's website, my website, selfservicesucks.com. Your two websites are?
Refresh Your Nest. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the name of the company. NestRefresh.com.
Are you sure?
I am.
Okay.
Nest Refresh. And then the other one is commercialcleaningtampa.net.
Which one do you like the most? No pressure.
Ooh, it's like asking which of your children that you like the most.
Right. The one that doesn't throw things, generally.
Yeah, it's sort of like day to day. The one that's in a good mood is the one you like the most that day, but you can't possibly choose which child you like the best.
Unless one of them was possessed, then I think you could. You know, like, what was that movie with the possessed girl, her head spun around?
Mm-hmm.
Like, she would clearly not be your favorite child if if you had a bunch of normal kids and her. I'm just saying.
I don't know. Where are your parents? Can we ask them?
No, we can't ask them. So we're going to talk a little bit today about being a service-obsessed business owner, what that means to the business owner, the employees, and last but certainly not least, the customer. You agree?
I agree.
Okay, so let's start with what makes you a service-obsessed business owner. Why are you an SOB, Julie? I keep hearing it. I want to know why.
I'm an SOB because I care. If you don't care about all the people that are involved, from the customer to the employee, mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that'll care all about their employees but not about their customer. Mm-hmm. That's going to end up failing.
Miserably?
Miserably. And
Right.
then there's folks that care all about the customer at the expense of their employee. And that is no good either. And then there are those business owners, especially early on, that will get so obsessed with pleasing the customer and their new employees that they'll forget to think about the business itself and how it needs to grow.
Have we had this conversation before?
We may have. There's no telling.
It's so strange. The more business owners that I talk about, especially the ones that I handpick for the SOB interviews, we seem to be on the same page about a lot of things. And that balance between the employees and the business owner and the customer is so important, because if it's too one-sided in any direction, the whole thing is going to tank. It's like the Titanic, iceberg right ahead, and the iceberg is the one thing that you're not dealing with. Mm-hmm. It's going to eventually, you're going to hit it and go straight down.
Well, it's like a three-legged stool. If you take one of those legs out or you make one longer,
right.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work very well.
It doesn't work at all.
So what is the difference, since you have two types of cleaning businesses? One is, I'm assuming, commercial, mm-hmm. and I'm assuming the other one is residential. What is the main difference between those two? Like, what is wow, I didn't see this, piece of the puzzle being this different or whatever?
I think one of the biggest things that makes commercial and residential so very different is the way that people interact with those two types of spaces. In your home, you move in there. That's your sanctuary. That's where all your stuff is. Oh. Whereas in your office, there aren't nearly as many people that really move into their office in the same way they move into their home. So, for example, it's usually going to be faster and easier and more straightforward mm-hmm. to clean an office, right. because it's not covered in every single knickknack or picture from your childhood or things. And it doesn't have the same types of things in an office that makes a home special.
Right.
And so it's
like
just
dogs and cats.
Very true. Now, that is not 100% true, because
right.
we do have
right.
the businesses where people do bring their pets to work.
I don't bring my pets to work, but there's a lot of lizards in my office.
Yeah.
I don't know how they get there. I don't know what they want. There's no food.
That's something for pest control to talk with you about.
I like lizards. And aren't lizards pest control?
They are.
Natural pest control?
They are. But anything can be a pest if you deem it so.
You know, the
Like
lizard
children
just
and cats.
the lizard doesn't get enough press, really.
Yeah.
You know, Disney's made a movie about every animal on Earth except for a lizard.
Yeah, well, there is the lizard sidekick in Tangled.
Yes, yes, but not a movie,
Chameleon.
not a movie starring a lizard.
Yeah.
I think that movie should happen.
Rango.
Lizard-ish. I saw that too.
Yeah,
I
that's
have
a good one.
I have a child, so I've seen that.
Yeah,
movie.
no, there's another one. It'll come to me.
Starring a lizard?
No, that's snails. There was one not too long ago that had snails in it.
Oh, I
but
remember that.
Rango's the only one that I can
Yeah.
think of, and that was a lizard.
If you know of a movie starring a lizard, please send me an email or a text message or call me. I would love to see that movie. And if not, I'll make it myself. I'm just tired
There
of
you
waiting
go.
for Disney to,
Make a
just
lizard movie.
just step up. And I mean, we're surrounded by them in Florida.
We are.
And I'm not going in that direction for no particular reason. I want to know, as someone that cleans offices and residences, what problems does Florida bring to that equation? What unique Florida problems, are part of that formula?
Well, one that offhand that I can think of is, the humidity. So you get dust.
It's humid here?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes. I think more so in the residential side than on the commercial side because, if you go into a commercial building, they've got the Arctic blast
Right.
going on. So they really keep the climate controlled very well. But in homes, you have all kinds of variety. People opening doors, small environment, opening windows. You get the humidity in. And so let's say you get a layer of dust on a ceiling fan and then the humidity in the house settles down on it. Now that dust is super stuck.
Hermetically sealed.
It's stuck to that surface. So something that if on a routine basis, or blinds are a good one. And there's a lot of cleaning services that really don't pay attention to ceiling fans and blinds for some reason. But if you go over those frequently, it doesn't take much time. But if you neglect them, then the combination of that dust going and settling on there, and then the humidity just makes this gluey, yucky, dusty mess that you can only get off at that point by wet wiping. Or I've seen people go to the extreme of taking them down, putting them in the bathtub.
Wow. I wouldn't mind designing my next house as a kind of a house where you could just hose everything down on the inside.
In Asia, on the bathrooms,
Right.
have you ever been
No.
over to Japan and
No.
Korea and stuff like that? Their bathrooms will be they're like that. You can hose the whole bathroom down.
Nice.
It's tile ceiling, or it's got some sort of a plastic surround, and no kidding, you can take a hose to that entire bathroom. It has a drain in the middle.
I have an invention for a bathroom in case anybody's interested. This is at least $1 billion idea. I'm thinking off the top of my head.
Shh, don't share it here. We'll talk about it offline.
You have an all stainless steel bathroom
Uh-huh.
that burns clean as soon as you close the door.
Oh, there you go.
Like it ignites like a crematorium
like
or
a
something.
self-cleaning oven.
Yeah.
You close the door, you set it up.
Yeah,
to
but I want
500
fire
degrees
and
for
maybe a
5
window
hours.
that you can watch. I want
Yeah.
fire and maybe a window that you could watch the flames.
Hmm.
And then I guess you'd have to either make it out of some kind of metal that cools down real quickly, or after the burn clean is done or clean burn is done, then maybe it hoses down or something like that. But
Yeah.
I want one.
Okay,
Wouldn't that be cool?
sure.
You're not a
No.
big fan?
I can see some problems. What if you forgot something in there, or all of a sudden you remember that, I didn't
My
need
cell
to do that
phone.
right now. I need to go to the bathroom and it's too hot.
Right. I left my phone in there.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
an issue.
So, how long have you been doing both of these?
Well, we've been in the cleaning business now for 3 years. We started Refresher Nest first in 2012.
Okay. Where?
South Tampa.
Only?
Primarily because we live right there in South Tampa near the base. So that was, base of operations launching from my house. So
Right.
South Tampa was, it just makes sense logistically to stay close to where you're at.
Sure. And the other one?
The other one, we started only 1.5 years ago, and it's all over the map.
Really? Like from here to Texas?
Okay, it's all over the Tampa
Hey,
map.
she said all over the map. Okay.
Too
And
literal.
and how? You're right. How's that going? How are both of them going? Actually.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. They're very different beasts. One, we have a few teams that get in their cars and they drive all over Tampa. That's the residential. They take all their supplies with them. Whereas commercial, we have folks that live near those accounts and we keep the supplies at the account so they show up to work and
Ready
they
to
work
go.
just that account. Or they
Right.
might have multiple accounts that they go to, but usually not all on the same day. So they operate completely differently. that was one of the most eye-opening things is how different, people think, oh, cleaning's cleaning. It couldn't be further from the truth.
Right.
How different commercial and residential are.
Right.
We've even tried using some of our great residential cleaners and said, hey, would you like to make some additional income on the commercial side, say on nights and weekends? And
Sure.
at first they're like, oh yeah, that's great. And then they go do a commercial account and they're like, I don't like this. And I'm baffled because I think commercial is more fun and
Right.
easier and straightforward. But boy, you get a good house cleaner, that's what they want to do.
Now let me ask you this, because there are a million cleaning products out there.
Mm-hmm. There are.
And I want to start doing a little bit of comparison. With IT, what I do, full service IT services, there are literally 100 ways to fix every problem that I'm presented with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Or that my techs are presented with on a daily basis. And I would say 99 of those ways are probably not the best, not the optimal way to go, but they do exist. There's 100 ways to go.
Sure.
99 of them are not optimal.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, the optimal route is usually more expensive up front and cheaper in the long run because you only did it once.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't put a Band-Aid or duct tape on the problem or hit it with a hammer or slap it. You actually corrected the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say that no other problem will ever present itself in the future.
Right.
But this particular problem, if solved correctly the first time, probably won't rear its ugly head anytime soon. So with cleaning, I would imagine if you put the wrong chemical on your beautiful movie theater rug,
yeah,
or on your couch, your leather couch, or whatever, it might look nice initially, and then tomorrow, is that correct?
A perfect example of that is any floor product that says it's going to make your tile floor, your wood floor, or whatever, shiny. So Mop and Glow.
Right.
And I'll tell you how I found out the hard way. First moved into our house, first time ever having wood floors. They're acrylic sealed, the engineered hardwood stuff, and
Right.
and we were so excited, and they were so glossy and so beautiful, and we're like, we're going to keep them that way. So I think we did use like Mop and Glow because it said it was going to keep them shiny, and we did that, and boy, I'll tell you what, they did shine that first day.
Yeah.
They shined. They
Right.
shined so beautifully. Ting! And then I was like, well, if that was good, then clearly if I do that on a daily basis, it's going to be even better.
Right.
And then the next time around, they were still shiny, and the third time they were cloudy. And then if I tried to use any other
Like your
product,
floor had cataracts the third time?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
like there was a film on there. And I'm
Right.
like, what is going on? And
Right.
if I tried to mop it with anything else, it just made it worse. Well,
Ooh, that's a
I
brilliant
ended
product
up-
right there. The more you
yes.
use it,
the worse it gets. I ended up, I think I was about 6 or 7 months pregnant, down on the floor on my hands and knees, removing every bit of that.
Wow.
Because what it is it creates a film on your floor,
Right.
which is shiny when it wants to be, but then after that, you're really going to have to either buff it to make it shiny again, or just remove it all and don't ever, ever, ever go down that road. If your floor says no wax, don't use anything that says it's going to shine your floor up.
I have
Just
a lot
work
of
to the wise.
experience buffing floors in the military.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've probably buffed the planet when I was in the military. And I want to talk to about that a little bit. You're in the service.
I was.
I was in the service. I believe your husband was in the service.
Mhm.
I didn't have a husband. I had a wife. She wasn't in the service. How was that for you? Like, why did you go in? What did it mean to you? Did it mean anything to you? Were you just escaping the household that you grew up in? Like, what was your motivation?
Oh, well, my motivation was I have an English degree, and everybody said, so you're going to teach? And I said, no, I don't
Not
think
so much.
And I tried out, I was a marketing director at my university for a little while, and then I
At the one you got the degree at?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
for a department.
I
So
got
it's
you.
not like I was marketing for the whole Oklahoma State University. I was marketing for their career service department
Gotcha.
for a few months, and then I did technical writing for an oil company.
That sounds
Writing
exciting.
emergency procedures in case
Ooh,
they had to
even
shut
more
down the
exciting.
natural gas plant.
Right.
Yeah, so exactly. Really exciting stuff. And went home and was like, Dad, I don't think I've settled on something that I really enjoy yet. And so he said, why don't you join the Air Force? He's retired. retired Air Force.
Oh, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
And I said, I had thought about that, but I, didn't ever pull the trigger on it. And I went down.
We don't pull triggers in the Air Force.
Yes, exactly.
A misconception.
Well, yeah. So, to qualify.
Right.
Once a year.
Yeah, once a year.
So I went down to the recruiter, and then I got in eventually. The first recruiter I talked to was like, yeah, we can have you in 3 weeks. Anybody who's looking to go in the military, if that's what the recruiter says, then you probably need to take a second and think about it and talk to somebody who's already been in the service and see if they're trying to sell you up the river.
Right. And if they're in the Army or the Marines, they're definitely trying to sell you up the river.
So I went home and said, hey, Dad, he said I can be in and I can ship off in 3 weeks. And he said, oh, no. So anyway, long story short, I ended up getting commissioned into the Air Force through officer training school. And
good for you.
But I did get a little bit sold because at the time they were heavily recruiting for a position called a navigator, and I didn't know what that was. And the recruiter really couldn't tell me what that was, but I wanted to
all
get
the
into
more
the
reason
Air
to
Force.
sign up.
Yeah, and he said, you have a 99% chance of getting accepted on the next board that meets if you put down that you're going to be a navigator. And I said, okay, sounds good. I told my dad, and he's like, because he knows if anything that goes that quickly, you should really, again, double check. But I did it anyway, almost to spite him at that point, because he told me,
absolutely.
He told me, whoa, caution, and that I was still at that stage with my dad that if he said caution, that meant go.
I'm still at that stage with my dad.
But anyway, it was an opportunity to travel, and I really got to see the world. And
you got to navigate.
I got to navigate. I did. I got to.
Do you want to explain to the folks at home what a navigator does?
I told the pilots where to go.
Right. Like just randomly, hey, Vegas today. I don't care what the manifest says. We're going to Vegas. What's up?
If it was authorized, if they said plan a trip anywhere,
right?
Those days are gone though.
Yeah. How long did you do that?
Let's see. I would say I probably did that for about 5 years.
Wow. Did you go to? You had to go to Colorado for officer training?
My officer training was in Montgomery, Alabama.
Wow.
From June 6th of 1999 to September 30th of 1999. So it was hot.
Wow.
It was hot
and
humid.
Yeah.
But
you were an officer. You didn't have the basic training I went through. I mean, come on.
No, I had 13 weeks of it. How many did you have? 6 or 7?
Yeah, but you're 13 weeks in the air conditioner.
No.
I was 8 weeks. I think I was 8 weeks outside marching in boots in Texas in the summertime.
My big toe on my left foot still is numb.
Yeah. Well, I have
permanent. And this is what 90. This is 16 years later.
Yeah.
I still can't feel that after all the marching over 13 weeks. We marched everywhere.
I have permanent frostbite on my feet.
Oh, wow.
Because...
where'd you go through training?
Well, it's not where training, it's where I was stationed at.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You were up in Alaska, weren't you?
And North Dakota.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I'm from Florida, so,
Yeah, so exactly, that's where they're going to put you.
Now, unlike you, my recruiter told me the God's honest truth. And what he told me was, you need to move up north and then join the military. And I'm like, that's a lot of work, bro. Like to establish a new address up north, especially when I was a kid living at home with parents.
Were you running from the law?
No. So I didn't believe him, and I didn't know why. And I get my first assignment, and I end up in Alaska and North Dakota. And the logic he was trying to give me is, if you're from the north, they send you south. If you're from the south, they send you north. But I was a 21-year-old kid. I knew everything. I didn't need to listen to him, and so I spent 6 years on a block of ice, and I have permanent frostbite in both feet. So I'm never leaving Florida, because if it gets a little cold, I can't warm up. Like as soon as I get cold, I'm frozen. There's nothing I can do about it.
So where in Alaska were you?
Anchorage.
Okay.
Anchorage,
that's
Alaska.
Where I was too.
Why were you there?
That was my first assignment.
Oh wow! At Elmendorf.
At Elmendorf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You didn't say that, did you? Did I miss that? Did I have a tumor? Hold on. I don't think you said that.
Before.
Well, in this interview, I'm saying, did you say that?
No.
Did you like it there?
I did.
What year were you there?
I was there from just before September 11th in 2001 through March of 2004.
Oh, you were there after me. I left in 97.
Yeah, I didn't get in until 99.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm an old man here, apparently.
My husband was born and raised in Alaska. He
really?
was born there at Elmendorf.
How'd you get him to leave?
It was not easy, but the Air Force made him, so I didn't have any part of that.
What about hunting and fishing and all that?
Oh, trust me. Don't let him
I'm
watch this.
sorry.
He will start crying.
I'm sorry.
He misses
Kevin,
it. He
I'll
misses
forward
it
this
daily.
video to you every day
Oh no.
for the rest of your life.
No.
No, seriously, like there's only two kind of people in Alaska. People that hate it and people that are obsessed with it.
And did a lot of hunting and fishing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he was an Alaska SOB.
Yes.
So, are your kids going to go in the Air Force?
I don't know.
No.
My eldest one was, she was, well, we named her after an airplane. So she was like, I'm going to be a pilot and I'm going to be in the Air Force. And I said,
her name is F-16? Really?
Yeah.
Stealth.
Stealth, yeah. No, keep going.
What's
You'll
the
never
refueling one? The big refueling
You'll
one?
never get it. You'll never in a million years.
A-10.
I have never heard of it. It's not an Air Force plane.
I don't know. Oh, well, that's all I know.
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, if I told you, I'd have to kill you.
Oh, well, we don't want
You
that.
know those
I won't be able
rules.
to finish I won't be able to finish the interview. And people are waiting patiently for this interview.
Well,
I'm releasing it tomorrow.
the only airplane
By the time
name-
you watch this, it will be today.
Well,
But
if you want me to tell you, you gotta stop talking.
go ahead.
The only airplane name that is out there that lends itself at all to being a girl's name
Memphis Belle.
is Satabria.
What is that? A Russian plane?
No,
That's why you're gonna have to kill me.
it's
She's
an
Russian.
American plane.
Really?
It is.
Never heard of it. What branch?
What branch of
Yeah.
America?
What branch of the service did you get that plane
Oh,
from? I'm
no,
going back
it's
to
a
what you
civilian.
said.
It's a civilian
Oh,
plane.
well, that's
It's
why I've never heard of it.
It's an aerobatic
Oh.
aircraft, and it's actually aerobatic spelled backwards.
Not Arabic. Aerobatic.
Air.
Let's be clear.
And it's not
Okay.
it's not like the proper aerobatic spelled. It's airbatic
I gotcha.
spelled backwards. So anyway, it's an aerobatic airplane.
How'd you
And-
land on that?
Well, we were kicking around. We just found out that day that we were going to have a little girl, and kicking around names, and nothing really jumped out. And so we were just kind of talking about. And he said, maybe we could name her something cool that when you spell it backwards is something really cool. And I was like what? And he's like, Satabria. And I'm like, what? What is that?
So you never heard of it either?
I had never heard of it, but it did sound nice. And
Is that one of the planes that he flew into the bush to go hunting?
no, he would
And
have.
by the bush, we mean into the woods in Alaska. That's what they call it there. I don't know why. I was
That would
there.
have been like a Cub,
Yeah, okay.
a J3.
Do you know
Cub
that
type
there's
thing.
more planes than there are people in Alaska? Do you know that?
I did not know that there were more planes than people.
There's
'cause
more
who
planes than
flies
there
them?
are people.
I know that it's like I know that the base, the seaplane base right there is the busiest one in the whole world.
You can look up in the sky
Yeah,
in Alaska
there's planes
24 hours a
everywhere.
day, and it's like I-4 at rush hour
Yeah.
every day.
It's
So
very busy.
I know it feels like we're off course, but there was a reason we just spent the last 10 minutes talking about the military. And I just had this conversation with somebody else the other day that was also in the service. And, for whatever reason you went in,
Mhm.
usually, people go in, one person, for whatever reason they go in, and they come out a different person.
Mhm.
And so the reason I wanted to hit that hammer on the head so hard is, in my experience, people who have been through this machine called the military are a different caliber of individual on the outside of the military than you run into almost every minute of the day, no matter who you meet. And I'm going to tell you, there's things like honor, duty, integrity, telling the truth,
Showing up
on time, doing what you say you're going to do, when you say you're going to do it, at the price you say you're going to do it. All of these variables are beat into your skull every day of your service.
Yeah,
And when you leave, you take it with you.
yeah.
It becomes who you are.
And it's oftentimes what makes the transition, I think, so difficult for
Yes.
a lot of people
Yes.
is adapting to the culture on the outside.
If you can call it culture.
The anything goes on the outside.
Right, right,
you're used
right.
to being in a place with so much structure.
Yeah.
And the things that people do on the outside, it would just make you blush. You're like, oh my gosh, someone would deliver paperwork to me, and I would,
Yeah.
I would be on, toothbrush detail cleaning something for
Yeah.
days if I pulled that stunt.
Yeah, yeah. And it's very important, when you're thinking about hiring a cleaning company or an IT company
Or an employee.
or an employee, really really, if you're going to hire an employee, that these things matter to you, because I'm telling you, I'm 44 years old, and I am telling you, as God is my witness, there's just a different caliber of person if you have been through the military machine in this country than you are going to deal with in almost every area of life.
Generally speaking.
I mean, not obviously, it's like anything else.
There are some wonderful people that never did go through the machine, but you wouldn't.
Right.
You wouldn't know that they didn't go through the machine. You're like, wow.
Well, what I was going to say is there's even people that have been through the machine. We have our share of idiots too, but that share is dramatically decreased because of what the machine does to you. I mean, look at the size of that flag right there.
It's a big flag,
and that's like one of 6 in this house. And I wasn't USA and pro-military and all that stuff. I was a 21-year-old kid. All I cared about was drinking and partying and having a good time.
Yeah.
But then you go through the machine and you learn some history and you see what what we're doing, for the world and for people. And man, if you don't come out a changed person on the other side, I don't think anything can change you if that doesn't change you. I really don't.
Yeah. One thing I noticed that since the military, before I could sing the national anthem anytime,
Right.
Now I can't. I get halfway through the first verse and I get choked up, and I just have to let whoever's singing it finish.
Right. That's awesome.
We are lucky enough to live close enough to the base that at 5 o'clock, if the wind is blowing just right, we can hear the national anthem played at quitting time.
That's very cool.
Our kids, boy, if they're outside, they stop, they stand at attention, they put their hand over their heart, and they will give you dirty looks if you don't do the same.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I have a 17-year-old son that I've been talking to him about the Air Force since day one. Not forcing it on him, not, you're going to do this, not any of that, just as an option,
Yeah.
If you don't figure anything out for yourself, it was a pretty good option for me.
It's a great starting point.
Oh, it's an excellent starting point. And, I wish this was one of those countries where it was 2-year mandatory. I really do, because a lot of people in this country need to go through the machine just to raise the bar a little bit. You know what I mean?
Or if there could be some kind of a service organization where they could get something similar, but not necessarily be part of the defense system,
Right.
but something to really.
Well, in the Air Force, were you really part of the defense system?
Yes.
Well, I wasn't. I think I shot a gun 3 times a year. I've shot 1,000 more weapons out of service than I have ever in service. I went and shot 6 machine guns last Tuesday, as a matter of fact. So I never got to do that in the military. Not on full auto, anyway. I never got to do that in the military, but I do it now. You ever go shooting or anything like that?
We have on occasion, but not a whole lot.
I got you. So, what are the next 10-year plans for both businesses, either business, you and your family?
Wait, 10 years, that's a lot to look out.
It is, but I want to take over the world, so I have to have a very narrow focus on what I plan on doing in the next 10 years.
I mean, the growth, and more growth.
Right.
I mean, when you believe that you've got a good system, I mean, we're always constant improvement, which is something that we always worked on in the military.
Just a little bit every day.
Yeah, I mean, that was sort of the thing. Like, if you had a new troop come in and they were getting everything wrong today, you would look at them at the end of the day, they're crushed. They're just, I can't get anything right. And you look at them, a little bit of improvement every day, constant improvement. So I think that's the way it is in business, constant improvement. So we're always looking for how can we do it better, faster, greater satisfaction for the customer, greater ease for the employee, better, faster, stronger. So on every front, we're always looking for that. I'm making those changes. And then growth.
Right.
Growth.
Massive growth.
So we want to spread the opportunity to more employees.
Countrywide, Florida-wide, what are you looking for?
I had thought about someday looking into franchising Refresher Nest, and I won't say that that's out of the picture, but that was how I ended up getting into the commercial.
Right.
Because a gentleman named Todd Hopkins, who's the founder of Office Pride, called up one day and said, "Hey, would you like to talk about franchising?" And I'm like, "Yes." Oh my gosh, how cool is that? Where have you been all my
life, right?
That is awesome.
Right.
I was thinking that this might be something I'd like to do with my little startup.
Right.
What an opportunity to talk to somebody who's done it,
right?
And been successful at it,
right.
And had a franchise for over 20 years.
Right. Wow.
And so, of course, we took that meeting.
That's cool.
And then the next thing you know, we walked out with a franchise.
Nice.
But we haven't looked back. It's been great.
I want to do the same thing with the service station, and the reason I named it the service station is because I don't want to be stuck to just IT, because it's so easy to find any business anywhere that service sucks at. I mean, just leave your house any day and go anywhere. You know, at least in my experience, 95% of all businesses fail miserably at service. Sure, they may have good food. Sure, they may have good merchandise. But somewhere in the equation, the wheels come off.
Yeah. And I think everybody kind of falls prey to that too, though. It kind of depends on the customer and whether your customer gets it too. There are some people out there that, we try and try and try, and they're just not a good fit.
Right. Oh, yeah. Oh, totally. And as a business owner, as a smart business owner, you have to be, the expression, was it 20% of your customers will cause 80% of your problems? Yeah. You have to tell those people goodbye, and I've done it probably 10 times over the last 15 years because it's just not worth it, Like there's nothing you can do to please this person. They're going to be miserable and complain no matter what you do. You can't make them happy. They just need to either go do it themselves, which is going to suck because when you want it done right, don't do it yourself. Right. Or, they're just going to keep, beating through whoever comes through their door. But, when you have customers like that, you have to remember that they're beating up your employees. And when your employees are beat up, they're going to beat you up.
Well, again, it's that whole three-pronged system.
Right.
You can't let the customers completely overtake your employees in your company. You can't let the employees run the company.
Right.
Unless you've got it set up for that purpose, and you can't, drive everything from the bottom and never listen to your customers and never listen to your employees. Right.
Because then you have a kingdom or a fiefdom or whatever it's called, and that doesn't work.
And we know those get overthrown.
Yeah. Revolutions happen. Yeah, we have experience with that.
Yeah.
So, what is your number one way of getting customers? Before you answer, I'm going to guess it's word of mouth.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it's not the number one.
I didn't go and look at my metrics today before I came to talk to you, but I will say that referrals are big, networking is big. And then on the residential side, we have 4 wrapped vehicles that drive around town that raise a lot of awareness. Right. And then internet leads. So I have a feeling that the two of these are really kind of part and parcel with each other a little bit. They walk hand in hand a bit. But those would be our biggest lead sources.
What about every time I open an email from the South Tampa Chamber of Commerce, for instance, that you're there?
Yeah. It's all part of promotion.
Right. Yeah. I've been talking a lot about last couple interviews with people about this be everywhere approach to marketing and branding and getting customers. Because I don't think anyone has the silver bullet that this one thing does everything.
Right.
But certainly enough quality of everything does something.
Yeah.
You can't just vomit, because that doesn't work either.
Right.
But enough quality, like precision timed,
Well, I think
maximizing.
Being there,
Right.
Part of the beauty of networking is that that's another great avenue for feedback.
Right.
And listening to what your community wants, what your customers want, what your potential customers want. That's where you're going to gather in all that data to really perfect your processes and perfect your offerings.
Right. You ever have anybody see you in a shirt or out somewhere and they don't know what you do? Like even after they read the shirt or whatever, what does that mean? What do you do?
Yeah, especially with Refresh Your Nest.
Right.
Big time.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have to explain it?
Yeah.
And how
they're like, was that the interior design? Is that,
right.
They're just, I can't even name off all the funny things that people have decided that it probably was.
I ran into some lady. Actually, I ran into a couple people yesterday. We were at the Taste of South Tampa with the South Tampa Chamber, and I was dressed as bacon per mandatory decree by Kelly Flannery because of the bacon video last week. And I had a gold chain, like a rapper's gold chain, with selfservicesucks.com banner on it.
Oh, okay.
And that's all it said on it, right? And it's not an accident. Like in this shirt, nowhere on my shirt does it say what I do.
Right.
But it's not an accident. I designed the shirt. It looks exactly like to make people ask, because just looking at, like, if it said computer repair, 3 seconds later, it's out of their head.
Right.
But I have people take pictures of the back of my shirt all the time, or I watch them Google it while I'm standing there. You know what I mean? And that's exactly the reason that I did it that way. And, and there's another reason I did it, I also did it, is because I have a twisted sense of humor. I would prefer to have a good time as often as possible because life's a pain in the ass. You know, I'm a father, a single father, a business owner, you know, and, you know, whoever said life was easy lied. You know, it's not. Life is, you know, life is work, you know. And so whenever I can inject humor or fun into anything, in any way, shape, or form, I try to do that just to lighten the burden of life, you know. So a couple of people that I met at the event yesterday, probably 3, 4 maybe out of the 1,000 I ran into just really turned off by the word sucks being in my domain name, right?
Yeah.
But that's not an accident.
Right.
I don't want to do business with people with no sense of humor because IT sucks.
Yeah.
Whenever someone calls me, they're already mad.
Right.
You
they're
know?
in a bad situation.
Why did my computer break?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's get China and Bill Gates on the line. Maybe we can figure it out. I didn't write the software. I didn't build the machine.
Yeah.
You know?
It's that really finding your niche.
Yeah.
The
so
people that get you.
Yeah, when people call you in IT, they're already upset. So when I can interject in my motto, when you want it done right, don't do it yourself. Selfservicesucks.com, the service man, dress up like bacon. When I can, you know, inject humor into a crappy situation, then we can make light of things. You know, because my biggest competitor really is my own customers. Like, something will pop up on their screen, and they click 10,000 times. And then they get mad, and they throw it on the ground. And then they pee on it, and then they set it on fire, and then they throw it in the ocean, then they call me.
Those people need the stainless steel bathroom.
Right. And then they call me.
Yeah.
After they've done all of that,
right.
Can you fix my computer? No, now I can't. Why did you do all that? You know? So whenever I can, inject humor into those situations, you know, and I do it all the time. People, hey, you know, I had somebody last week, I fixed something for them in about a minute and a half. They're like, how'd you do that? And I said, I'm a master. You know, I mean, it's all done on purpose, but it's all done to, you know, to bring levity to the situation because, you know, your car breaks, that's not fun. Your computer breaks, that's not fun.
Yeah.
You have cancer. You know, there's a lot of things in life that just aren't fun.
No.
You know, and if I had a choice to go to a hospital with a sense of humor or one with no sense of humor, I'm going to the one with a sense of humor. How about you?
Absolutely.
So do you prefer, like, do you try to pick, you maybe not with humor, but do you try to pick and choose your customers based on, you know, like you talk to somebody and you're like, no, this person's going to be a nightmare to work with.
We get better and better as we go on. And that's one of the things, you know, it doesn't work out with everybody. And we have to look at it is, you know, the process that we have set up.
Right.
Is it broken? Did it completely fail? Should we have lost this customer? Or is this something that we need to factor in and go, you know what, we're not going to be a good fit for this type of customer.
Right.
And we've learned that a lot. Like the first thing people are like, oh, you have a house cleaning business. Oh, we should let you know about this person that has an 8,000 square foot place on the water. I'm like, that's great. I happen to know that is not necessarily the person that's our best fit. They need somebody who probably visits them on a daily basis.
Right.
Does the dishes, does the laundry. Right. As a cleaning service, you know, we've learned that is not
your
the
niche.
best fit
for
them or us.
Sure.
So we get better at redefining who is going to be a good fit for our service and who's not.
I talk about angry money all the time. I'm not remotely interested in angry money. You know, I'm not necessarily looking for someone to do cartwheels when they write me a check, but I certainly don't want someone who's angry every time they pay my company. Right. Keep your money, bro. It's totally not worth it to me. You know, and that's you know, I wish more businesses would take that approach because, well, first of all, I wish that everyone who was in business was a professional and they did everything professionally at a professional rate. That would make life a lot easier for the rest of us. Right. Because with IT, everyone's cousin, sister, uncle, brothers, nieces, nephews, daughters is a computer repair technician. I don't know what they're basing that on, but that's the reality of you know, just as everyone in the house is capable of cleaning their own house. But are they going to do it worth a damn?
Right.
Probably not.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Absolutely.
Did we talk about all this stuff? Training, chamber, networking groups, reading business books. Let's get on with that one.
Oh, okay.
What's your favorite business book of all time? And why? I'll give you mine if you give me yours.
My favorite one of all time? Let me just tell you about one that I'm excited about that I just read. Because don't ask me favorite of all time. My kids try to ask me, what's your favorite color? I'm like, well, this week it's,
green.
Yeah, this week it's green.
She matches
Last
the green
week it's
screen
red.
today. We were going to have a really cool backdrop for you this week, but we can't because Julie's shirt will disappear entirely.
Yeah.
And you know what though? You'll look like the chair.
Yeah.
The chair will be sitting there with a head floating on it. I don't know if that's good for business though.
I don't know. So I just read, keeping with the green, something about Eat That Frog.
I never heard of that one.
I think that's the name of it, Eat That Frog. It's a book about, basically, it kind of riffs off of the concept. There's a quote by Mark Twain from a long time ago, and I'm going to paraphrase because I didn't memorize what the quote is, but the gist of it is that if everybody would eat a big, nasty, ugly frog in the morning, then the rest of their day would be great after that because they would have gotten the worst of it out of the way.
Right.
Nothing is going to be worse than that, right?
Absolutely.
And so
you would hope.
It's basically your big, ugly task, the thing that you want to put off,
Right.
the thing that you're procrastinating about.
Right.
Take care of it first.
Right.
Because then you have that, whew, that's done,
Sure.
it's taken care of.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to be as bad or cause you as much stress or anxiety as getting that task taken care of.
I'm going to piggyback on that because I guess one of the things that's helped me learn the most over the years is paying attention to the people who I know whose lives I would like to copy. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I learned from those people, mentors, whatever, is there's also things that you want to get done either during the day or during the week or during your lifetime for just personal satisfaction. Right. Now, I'm a writer, I'm a singer, play guitar, DJ, I'm an entertainment junkie, comedian, all that stuff. So every day before the phone rings, I'm working at 6 a.m. every day before my phone goes insane. Mm-hmm. And I write every day because I know that if my head hits the pillow that night and I haven't written, the whole day is a loss for me. Yeah. I'm just pissed. No matter what I accomplished, I go to bed angry because I didn't accomplish the most meaningful thing to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or be like, some people this doesn't matter to, but to me it matters a lot. Whenever I have my son every other day. And not doing something where it's just him and I bonding, because sometimes things come up as an adult. You got a parent-teacher conference. It takes all night. So we don't bond at all, and we go to bed, and I'm just I'm mad because I had my son, and we didn't get to do any father-son kind of activity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the things that, not just business, but the things that matter to you, you got to do them first.
Yeah.
Like paying yourself.
Right.
Put money aside for you, and then figure out how to give everybody else their money. Whatever it is that drives your creative.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He talks about
absolutely.
That. He talks about paying yourself first because those creditors are gonna, they're gonna holler until you pay them. So you're the easiest person to push off.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're like, oh well, So you got to pay yourself first because you'll find a way to pay the creditors, but you won't find a way to pay yourself.
No, it'll never happen. It'll never happen. So the things that what I don't know what chicken soup for the soul, what that is for you. What's the thing that makes you like mine's writing. What's yours?
Oh, it used to be quilting. I used
really?
To do a lot of quilting. Yes.
Wow.
I was a quilter. I even had a couple of quilting businesses.
Did not see that coming.
Yep. Started one in Arkansas.
Wow. You started a quilt in Arkansas?
A quilting business.
Oh,
in
okay.
Arkansas.
I got you.
I had a giant quilting machine. Actually, I still have it, so if anybody wants to buy it, quilters out there. It takes up an entire room. It's like a 12-foot table.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so what I would do
Could you make
is,
a flag on that?
yeah, absolutely. But people would do their own quilt top, and then I would do the part. What Kevin, my husband, would say is the quilt sandwich. So I'd put the batting in between and the backing,
right.
Put it on the rollers. That in the old days when they had the quilting bees, they would just have a wooden frame and a bunch of ladies would sit around it and hand quilt. Well, I had a giant machine that would just stitch whatever I drew in it. Wow. And now they make them nowadays where they are, you can press a button and it'll just go.
Right.
And you don't actually need to be there.
Right.
But mine is not like that. Mine, I still have to guide. So anything that I put on anybody's quilt was,
Right.
So I had to really kind of delve into an artistic side that I had never done any artwork or anything like that, never drawn or anything.
Right.
But, got pretty decent at it.
Very cool.
But then I got really busy with the 2 kids and the 2 businesses. So my kids yesterday was like, Mom, you ever going to have another baby? And I said, I've got 4.
Right.
I've got you and you, and then I was like, wait, I've got 5. I've got your dad,
right? Dog.
So now they're
No
my
pets.
husband,
Right.
my husband, my 2 girls,
Oh, I
and 2
understand.
businesses. So
Yeah.
I got 5.
I understand. I understand. Why do you do what you do the way you do?
Because I don't know any other way. That's my flavor. I mean, everybody's an individual, and everything that I do, I cull together from, asking around to how other people handle it, and I take the ideas that I think are, pay the most respects to my employees and to my customers. So, really, something that I think a lot of people don't focus on is really taking care of those employees as much as I do. And I like to sit down with them and talk about their dreams, because I'll tell them straight out, you cannot do this forever. You cannot expect to be a house cleaner and earn a retirement off of it. Your body's going to break well before you reach retirement age. You're going to get too worn out to do it. It's back-breaking hard work. And so I work with them and say, what kind of skills do you need to acquire for the next chapter of your life? What kind of plans? What do you need to be saving in order to get to your next goal?
You know what else is, I guess it takes a certain level of maturity that I didn't get until much later in life, but, helping people, such as your employees or just anyone around you that needs help with 0 expectations in return.
Well, and my expectation is that they'll leave me.
Right.
My hope is that they'll figure out what it is that they want to be in this world, up and above, being the best house cleaner they can and making the customers happy, that they'll figure out something that will allow them to take care of themselves for the rest of their lives.
You realize how unselfish that sounds, right?
Well, it might sound that way, but I mean, reality is, and I care about each of them.
Right.
I want them to find out what that thing is, and not just think that cleaning houses for the rest of their life is all there is for them.
I'm the same way. I don't hide anything or hold anything back when I bring, someone through the ranks of my company. They start off just fixing computers or whatever they end up doing. I share with them everything I can possibly dump onto them, so that one day they're off doing their own thing.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hold anybody back. I'm not trying to.
Entry level is entry level.
Yeah.
And there's no disrespect toward entry level. That's where you got to start. But everybody enters somewhere, and the hope is that they set their sights higher at some point.
So you don't think perhaps maybe somebody working the register at McDonald's should be getting $22 an hour?
I
just want to ask.
I think that they need to set their sights higher. They need to set their sights higher.
They shouldn't demand that they get paid the higher wage for the lesser job?
They should set their sights higher.
I just think that's hilarious that someone at an entry-level job is demanding a level of pay that's not commensurate with basically the monkey work that you're doing. I mean, they could put a robot in that, but it's going to happen.
Wawa already has robots to take your orders
and
pay and everything.
Exactly, because they don't want to be held hostage by, it's strange.
Well, and that's what the sad thing is that if you do that, then McDonald's is going to find a way.
Oh, yeah.
It's
going to be a lot cheaper.
It's going to be Wawa touchscreen ordering at McDonald's.
Okay, now you all don't have a job. Now what? We didn't think that far ahead in advance. So I want to talk to you more about marketing and branding and that kind of thing. But I do these stupid videos every week called The Serviceman's WTF. It's the latest incarnation.
I watched the one with the bacon.
The bacon, yes.
That was very good.
The bacon's very popular.
Yeah.
And I do these. These are a PR. I'm just trying to stay on the radar with everyone that knows me and all of my clients without annoying the hell out of people.
Yeah.
So I don't mention my business in any way, shape, or form. I don't talk about the services we provide. I don't talk about any of that stuff. And, a lot of people would call me stupid for doing it the way that I do it. But I'm trying to take the Richard Branson approach to marketing because I don't know if you know anything about Richard Branson, but the guy...
I know he's loaded.
He'll do anything. Exactly. He'll do anything. He'll wear anything. He'll say anything.
And he has Virgin Galactic.
Right. Yeah, he's doing all right. He's doing all right. So the approach to marketing that I'm taking is the same approach he took 40, 50 years ago when he started Virgin. It was a very controversial name. Same thing with mine with the self-service sucks and all the branding and everything that I'm doing. And whenever he was promoting his product, he really wasn't talking about the product. He was more talking about the philosophy and the mindset,
right?
Which for me is service. I don't care if you remember me for computers or not. what I hope you remember me and my company for is service,
Right.
because that will give me the opportunity to go down different avenues than just be stuck in the IT hole for the rest of my life, because there's a million services that need fixed, and I'm the guy to do it. You can't have a gun shy person fixing service problems. You have to have an aggressive type A person, walking around going, your service sucks and you need to fix it, because if you don't, I'm going to start a competition across the street and you'll be off the map. That's the kind of guy you need to fix service, you know what I mean? So how do you, what is your approach to not annoy people and stay on the radar? Because it's a very, we get inundated with so much information, and I think companies should really pay attention to how they're reaching out to people, and keep in mind that we're all getting bombarded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what is your approach to
I know
not being annoying and staying on the radar?
I think spending a lot of time in the SEO, and so that we're there when people are looking for us,
Right.
and not there when they're not looking for us. That's obviously an impossible task.
Sure.
But so that would be one, and of course the vehicles driving around is more of a, I'm not intruding on anybody's life by having a very vibrantly colored,
It is too.
Yeah, it's very vibrantly colored thing. So,
maybe I'll put one on the wall here in the video. Picture your vehicle.
That would be cool.
Right.
Yep.
I can do that.
And then you could put my logo on here, since
Right.
This is going to disappear.
Totally.
But yeah, so I mean, just trying to be there when they're looking, which is obviously trying to be a little bit of everywhere.
Right.
But not, because geographically, like for right now, we do have some customers in Pinellas, but I don't go over there.
Right.
Because that's not where I'm trying to be.
Right.
I'm trying to be in South Tampa, and then this year really trying to be in the Brandon Riverview sort of areas now as well. Temple Terrace.
It's very hard, and when people start working for me originally, they're like, why do you only focus on a 5-mile radius of your office? Because we'll never get to all those people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if we're spending all day crisscrossing town in traffic,
yeah,
we're
that's
not
a
really
lot
effective.
Of waste of time and gas.
Yeah, it's not really effective, and
right.
And another thing too is I don't want to drag my people down by having them crisscross the city in traffic all day long.
Absolutely.
And exposing them to tickets, and exposing them to car accidents, and on and on.
Well, and my folks are driving my vehicles.
Right.
So I'm paying for that gas.
Right. Why'd you go to Miami?
Yeah.
There was a house.
No.
No houses there. I think we have everything. Let me see. Keep customers. We might have missed that. And your definition of service.
Ooh, my definition of service is to consistently provide them what it is that they were seeking. And so that is, a big part of that is obviously the dialogue that starts the service, and doing a good interview with them on the front end to make sure that we understand what they need. Sometimes it happens, I don't know, this probably happens to you too, where someone calls for one thing and you think you're on the same page, but really it's something else that's completely unrelated to the thing you agreed on that is the thing that's important
Every
to them.
phone call.
So that's something that we try to identify early. Continuing to solicit their feedback and make sure that we're still meeting their needs.
Right.
Of course, we have a service guarantee that if anybody calls within 24 hours and lets us know, hey, I'm unhappy with something, we don't quibble. We just send the crew back out there to take care of it.
Very cool.
I mean, because the last thing I want is for anybody to spend their hard-earned dollar with us and not feel like they got the value out of it.
Amen.
So that's why I'm going to send my crew back out there without going, I'm sorry. I'm always going to offer that first. And we have folks that go, no, I don't want them to come back out. And I'm like, well, then you've pretty much taken away the only thing that I can really do for you is, fix it, give you the value that you were expecting. But,
you can tell more about a company by how they deal with a problem than by any other way of dealing with that company. It's not selling you something.
Right.
That is the way this company operates. It's when there's a problem with the thing that they sold you. This is how they really operate.
Right.
And it's I don't think enough businesses get that. Even big box chains. A lot of them in this town. You know?
Well, the thing is that the you can have a great salesperson that can, make them feel so at ease, but that salesperson is probably not the person that's delivering the service or product.
Right.
So you really have to work to get it from the sales process all the way through service to product delivery through billing to really feel the same way.
Sure.
And that is tricky. That
Absolutely.
is very tricky to take it from the salesperson and then crunch it through the system and have that same feeling and attention. And, I told you once, now I got to tell this person. So handing everything off in a proper way so that the customer feels taken care of through the whole process without having to repeat 1,000 times, like when you go to the hospital.
Right.
When I had my second child here in Florida, I had gone and done a pre-registration at the hospital, and they took my whole medical history. Anybody have heart attack and blah, blah. So I'd filled out all that stuff. Okay. So then when I got to the, finally in labor, I show up at the hospital, the nurse comes in and she goes through that whole thing for me. And I'm like, why did I pre-register?
Oh, don't you love that?
Yeah. So then now the doctor comes in because I'm about to give birth, and then he's like, so tell me about your medical history. And of course, if you've ever been in the room with a woman that's about to give birth, my answer was, didn't I just tell the nurse that? Why did I tell her that? And now you're asking me, So you don't want that to happen with your customer. You want to figure out a way to keep the communication on the back side and the front side consistent.
That's one of my favorite things about calling any company. They all have caller ID. Mm-hmm. So the person answers the phone. They greet you by your name because they know who called you. But they have, after the 10-minute interview, they have to transfer you to the next 10-minute interview. Ugh. It's like, I just answered all these questions. Don't you people speak to each other? Aren't you sitting in front of a computer with all this information? Oh, it drives me insane.
What I hate is when you go like credit card or bank or whatever, and they say, enter in your 16-digit code, so that we can pull up your account.
Right.
And you do that thinking that's going to save some time.
Right.
The person that answers the phone, who am I speaking with? Oh, I'm so-and-so. Okay, can I have your 16-digit account number? I'm like, really? Why did I just spend the time to punch all that in on my phone?
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. And I know this is probably a little bit difficult, but I think it's absolutely necessary, and it's something that every business owner should figure out how to do. And this is why the Richard Bransons of the world and the Steve Jobs of the world, this is how they got where they were.
Yeah.
They walked through their own process.
Mm-hmm.
They shop their own product. Like, Steve Jobs always had one of his products in his hand, using it all day.
Yeah.
Every day, all night, every night. Richard Branson goes to all of his businesses.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
I have the Refresher Nest cleans my house on a weekly basis, so I have to live with whatever they're doing that week, and so and there's a lot that you learn from living in it.
Oh, sure.
Over the course of the week, you're like, well, that wasn't where I thought it, So went from having to get the house ready the night before so that they can just clean and not have to worry about picking up or working around stuff to. What does that mean for rescheduling? So we do everything in our power never to reschedule a customer because we know that most of them have gone through and gotten their house all ready for us. So anyway, you learn a lot by living in it, and then I can go back and give that feedback. Hey, you didn't put my rugs back in the right place. Now it seems like a small thing, but come on, seriously,
this is the one-on-one stuff,
little stuff like that, and those are things that we get complaints from customers. So that's one of the reasons, and of course, our Office Pride cleans our office building, and so that gives us an opportunity to go in and inspect and see how that process works as well. Same thing.
Yeah.
Not to mention, you see things. With the commercial, you see things during the day that the workers see that you don't see at night with completely different lighting.
Mm-hmm.
The light will come in through a window at sunrise, and you'll see a big handprint that at 9 o'clock at night you would never have seen that.
Right. Yeah, it's like being in the studio with all these lights. We're going to be blind for like the next 3 hours.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. It's something that's so simple to do. But the last thing I want to cover is I think most business owners are too busy in the business to look at anything. Like, they're not looking at their brand. Yeah. They're not looking at their marketing. They're not looking at their message to the world. They're not looking at how they're displaying themselves. They're not shopping their own process. They're not going through their own machine. And
I think that's a really easy trap to fall into.
It
You
is.
start a new business as an entrepreneur, you're so in the weeds. If you
Right.
don't figure out
used to
to
be a
make,
server in the weeds. That's a server term. Did you used to be a server?
No.
No, that's a server term.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. That's the first time I ever heard somebody that
Way
wasn't
in
a
the weeds.
server
We said
say
it in the
it.
military all the
Yeah,
time.
I
You're too
didn't
way
say
in the
it.
weeds to see
I
what's
was in
going
the
on,
mud,
big
so.
picture. But yeah, you get so in the habit of that, and then you don't make the investment in the people because I finally got a profit. No, you
Keep
take
cutting
that
your
profit.
right?
You take that profit and you invest in some management so that you can take a big picture, step back, and
Right.
see what's wrong.
Right.
Because otherwise, everything's going to come crashing to the ground.
Yeah.
So you want to step back and do exactly what you're talking about
Right.
if you want to grow.
Right.
Because you'll only get to a certain level with everything that you can do in a day.
And I give the people that work with me a hard time. They'll call me and ask me a question that I know doesn't require me to answer. Like, did you look this up? I mean, did you spend a minute,
Google,
anything, a YouTube video, anything before you called me?
Yeah.
Because I'm one of those people that, due to the nature of what I do, IT, I hire people way smarter than me. Like, I hire people who know how to fix things that I probably couldn't figure out how to fix if my life depended on it. But I have to have those people because this industry changes every 5 minutes,
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you buy something, it's obsolete. So I have to have people that are on top of it, And when they call me, with a question that I know is in the top 3 responses of Google or YouTube, I give them a hard time, Really? You couldn't look this up before you called me? I said, because I thought you wanted the phone to ring next week. And me looking this up for you is not going to make the phone ring next week.
But you dressing as bacon.
I'll do anything. Whatever I got to do to make the phone ring, I'll do it. If you need me to show up at your event as bacon, I'll do that too. Whatever I got to do to get my people fed, not bacon. Whatever I do to get my people fed, just as long as they're not
that's
eating
good, taking care of your employees.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good. I'm set. I want to make sure that everybody else that's around me is happy because if they're not happy, they're going to make me miserable.
Yeah.
So,
Very true.
I think we covered everything. Did we get your website addresses out there?
Yes, nestrefresh.com and commercialcleaningtampa.net, those two.
Yes. Do you prefer they go there or call you?
On the residential side, I love it when they call 992-NEST.
992 Nest.
Yep, and we'll do the rest.
And you or someone else?
Well, Lisa will probably be the person that they talk to first because I'm out here like you, being bacon.
Right, being bacon.
Bringing home the bacon.
Hey, I got the bacon suit's right there if you want to look. See it?
I do.
You can use it whenever you want. I got every
Awesome.
costume you can imagine over there. So
Oh, that's awesome.
those are all costumes.
I see Captain Cutthroat over there.
Yeah, that's from the last 10 videos on my costumes over there.
Okay.
We hope you guys enjoyed this interview. We hope you learned a little bit more about each of us and what makes each of us, especially Julie and SOB. And please go to her website, call her phone number. And also, once again, if you need anything IT service related, I am the serviceman with the service station at selfservicesucks.com. We'll see you guys next time.